It's insane. Well, the way you describe it, it's insane.
I'm convinced that, I don't know at what point, whether it's 20 years, whether it's 200 years, they will look back at this period and look at what we, hopefully 2 years, and it would be like the periods we look at where they used to burn witches, and we'll go, what went wrong? How could so many people be so idiotic? How could they cause that level of self-harm to a prosperous country? Fast forward 10 years, if we stay on this trajectory, what are we going to be looking like, price-wise, reliability-wise?
So we've already seen over the last 10 years, in real terms, electricity prices go up 60%. And on current trajectory, we're probably looking at another 60 to 70% increases.
Right.
I think the important thing to realise is that, viewers of your show, they would be much more energy and electricity literate than a lot of people are. We don't learn this in school. This isn't currently talked about in most of our mainstream media. And most people are really well-meaning. They trust what the government, they trust what the ABC and other elites in society are telling them. And they want to think that they're doing something that's good for the environment, that's going to be cheaper. And this is where I think we've been failed, is you've got this expertocracy who are marking their own homework, who aren't actually factoring in the full system costs, who are completely shut off to coal or nuclear because of what our politicians have dictated them when they're setting out and making their figures. And so this means that the general public are never actually shown the full picture and not
now,
given an opportunity.
And now under 16-year-olds don't have any access to any alternative information that might lead them to think, oh, hang on, there's something crook going on here. How embarrassing was it for Australia to have Ed Miliband making sense at COP29 and talking about nuclear, and AUKUS and the Americans saying to the Australians, you've got to go nuclear. Why aren't you going nuclear? Obviously, if you're serious about zero emissions, you go nuclear. What happened there?
So it's embarrassing, but it's also quite concerning. When you think about our security apparatus, and particularly as we're transitioning towards AUKUS, let's be honest, we haven't been making those investments in our own military in a strategic matter. We're relying on the US and we're relying on the Brits to do a lot of that heavy lifting. If we don't get our skates on and begin to set up that regulatory framework to process the nukes when they come here, they're going to leave us behind, and they're going to say, look, Australia, you aren't pulling your weight, you're going to become a second player, and then we're going to be completely stranded. So it's not just for our energy needs that we need to work this nuclear stuff out, it's also for our national security and making sure that we can meet our commitments within AUKUS.
Gerard, Holland, always great to have you here on Outsiders. Have a great Chrissy, and we'll see you again in the new year. Thanks so much. That's, of course, Gerard Holland there.